I got to tell you, I feel like I am taking crazy pills at this point, particularly as it involves the state of California. At this point in time, there is a ton of optimism that sports of all types are going to be back. Major League Baseball, I'll tell you why I feel like ultimately they are going to get everything worked out and that baseball will be back come July. I feel like I got to give credit to all the NBA players who have started, I think, to look at the data, to Adam Silver, to everybody out there who has said, you know what, wait a minute, this thing is really for young people, not as dangerous as the yearly flu. And so we can certainly come back and play in the NBA and the coronavirus. And this is where I would give credit to Dana White and company. You don't have to shut down entire leagues when somebody tests positive. And MLS, which, look, I understand a lot of you are not huge soccer fans, but MLS is talking about coming back at Orlando. The English Premier League is coming back. The Bundesliga has already begun. This weekend, NASCAR is going to be going on. We've already had the UFC back. The PGA is ready to roll come June. Every sport is coming roaring back. And then I feel like people who are living in California, including much of this show, I feel like Governor Gavin Newsom, Eric Garcetti, the mayors in California, and the governor have lost their minds. The state of Arizona announced that come Saturday, pro sports can start back up in their state. The state of California effectively announced that no one is going to do anything in that state for months. They aren't allowing kids to go back to college. Why in the world would you even pay for college if it means you're going to sit in your mom or dad's house in your basement and watch computer instruction for another full semester and maybe another full year? If I lived in California right now, I would be doing everything in my power to leave the state. I would be pulling an Elon Musk, and I would be trying to figure out ways to bail on that state. And I can't believe the LA Times ran a story that said that the lockdown in LA is going to extend all the way until the end of July, until August 1st. Are you crazy? I'm in Florida right now. I can do everything that I normally could do almost already. I live in Tennessee. Tennessee is open. Georgia is open. Texas is open. Florida, for all the criticism that the Peter Kings of the world rained down upon Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, the death rate in Florida is nearly identical to the death rate in California. Florida is all open. Texas has half the death rate, just about, per capita of Florida. Of California. It's all open. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. California has lost its mind, and I don't understand how the citizens of California can't see that. Look, you got next door neighbor states. A state of Arizona is opening up. They're welcoming pro sports and saying, hey, come Saturday, you could play here. And California is putting the sleeper hold on the idea of having any sports in that state. Do the residents of California not recognize how insane this is? Your pro sports teams are going to have to leave. And people can say, well, pro sports doesn't really matter. You're wrong. There are tens of thousands of people, if not more, in California who almost directly connect their livelihood to the pro sports teams, to the colleges. Does no one actually look at the data in California? Europe is open back up. Kids are going back to school. Italy, France, Spain, places that have had much worse outbreaks than California, they're already open back up. Their kids are back in school. Everybody's going back to work. Now, every European country is not the same, but they're all opening back up. No one is being as restrictive as California is right now. And I feel like people who live in California, like, what in the world is going on? Everybody else is in the process of going back to work and getting back to normalcy. And LA and San Francisco have lost their minds. I don't get it. I hate to say it's 100% political, but it feels 100% political to me. It feels like there's a competition to take away as many freedoms and liberties as you can from your citizens in an effort to try and score political points with the blue checkmark liberal brigade on Twitter, who's going to continue to clap, even though they're not looking at data. And most of those dudes, and they're almost all dudes, but there's some women too, all of them want to spend the rest of their lives buried in their bed underneath the covers because they're so afraid of what might happen if they go outside. None of this makes statistical sense. None of it makes analytical sense. None of it makes logical sense. And again, people can say, well, it's just sports. It does matter. Kids going back to college matters in a big way. That's why Elon Musk is saying, screw it. F you, California. I'm going to take my car factory elsewhere where people are actually capitalist. If I right now were a rising freshman in a California college, I'd be trying to get out of the state to go to school elsewhere if I had options. If I were a top athlete and I had signed with any California college, I don't want a redshirt for a year while I have to stay at home. I'm trying to find somewhere else that I can go. If I'm a 4 and 5 star, I'm asking out of my USC commitment. Well, let's pretend USC had any of those guys. But anyway, if they did, if I'm a UCLA student, if I'm a Stanford student even, there are a lot of good schools all over this country that are going to be open this fall. Why would I want to stay home and squint into a computer screen and pretend that I'm getting the same education? If I'm a parent, why in the world would I be paying anywhere near full tuition for my kids to sit in front of a computer and get educated? None of this makes remote sense. I feel like at this point I'm taking crazy pills. I don't understand how people in California can even allow this to happen. I feel like their economy needs to collapse on an entirely different level before people realize basic economic realities. Remember when I was on here and I was telling you, you know what? I think you have to contemplate all the other factors other than the coronavirus when it comes to decisions that you're going to make. Because more people are going to die from 20+% unemployment in the United States than are going to die from the coronavirus. Do you guys remember me saying that for months? And people are like, you don't even care about death. No, I wish nobody died. I wish my grandma and grandpa were still alive. I wish your grandma and grandpa were never going to die. I would like to be immortal. But guess what? Everybody's going to die. This is not a debate about death. We've lost that one. Everyone has the same ending to their story. We all die. I'm sorry to start the morning off with that reality. 2.8 million people every year in this country die. 7,500 a day of a variety of different causes. The coronavirus is not and should not change the way that 327 million Americans live forever. Remember when we went into this shutdown, what they told us? They said the reason for the shutdown and everybody to need to stay at home is so we don't overload the hospitals. That's what we were told. We didn't come close to overloading the hospitals. There's no fear of hospitals anywhere. now being overloaded. We won that. We flattened the curve. There was no talk of staying in houses until there was a vaccine. There may never be a vaccine that works. And even if we get a vaccine, mutations in the coronavirus might mean that it doesn't work very well. We have every year a flu shot in this country, and many of you knuckleheads won't even get it. You wouldn't even take the time to go get a flu shot. And 2 years ago, the flu killed 80,000 people in this country, and none of you even noticed. Nothing changed. I'm about to tweet out the CDC data on who is dying of the coronavirus. Are you aware that 40% of deaths are in nursing homes? Nearly half of the deaths in this country are in nursing homes. We need a smart policy in place. But my God, the deaths per million people tell us that most of you have zero to fear. I'm looking at it right now. Deaths per million people, according to the CDC. If you are over 85 years old, which is, fortunately, most of us, hopefully, will one day get to be 85. But when you get to be over 85, you know that things aren't probably going to go your way if you get sick. 1,750.8 people per million are dying if they are over 85 years old. If you are under 34 years old, 6 per a million are dying. Let me repeat that. If you are over 85 years old, there is 1,750.8 of you that are dying per million people. If you are under 34 years old, it is 6 out of a million. If you are 24 years or younger, 1 in a million of you are dying. Less than 1 in a million. It's 0.98. Let me repeat that. Literally, your odds of dying, if you are 24 years old or younger in this country, is 1 in a million. Not even 1 in a million. It's 0.98. And colleges are shutting down? I don't know about you, but when I'm told, hey, there's a 1 in a million chance that that might happen, I say to myself, that's probably not very likely. This is actual CDC data. Your kids need back in school. They need to be back in school come the fall, everywhere. Why in the world is California making this decision right now in May? Who are these nincompoops? Who are these imbeciles? Who are these fools? Why are we allowing them to make insanely stupid decisions without any data to back it up? 1 in a million. Not even like me being hyperbolic and being like, hey, that's a 1 in a million chance. 1 in a million for 24-year-olds and under that they're going to die of the coronavirus. Literally. Every single college kid and everybody under the age of 24 is more likely every year to die of the seasonal flu. All these athletes, they have almost zero. You can't say that there's a 0% chance that something could happen, right? Because theoretically, anything could happen. I could manage to die at the age of 41 while sitting at this mic right now. And some of you out there listening to me right now might be praying for that to happen every morning. Might be like, I'm so over Clay Travis. That could happen. I could have a heart attack. Because I'm so worked up over this stupidity, I could just drop dead. But the odds of it happening are almost zero. I was under way more danger this morning driving to the radio studio than I am of dying of the coronavirus. And the same thing is true of almost all of you who are young. Now, if you're over 85 years old or you live in a nursing home, then we need to do our best to protect you. But we don't need to treat everybody the same. We can't turn every kid in America into the bubble boy from Seinfeld. You remember the bubble boy from Seinfeld? He had such a suppressed immune system that if he ever left the bubble, he would die. We're turning the entire country, every kid in this country, into the bubble boy. It's absolutely bonkers. It is insane. I am losing my mind. I really feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I don't see this as political at all. Somehow it's turned into politics, but to me, data is data. You look at it. When I see there's a 1 in a million chance of something happening, I don't adjust my behavior. I say, man, that would be really unlikely. But I don't change everything that I do. And I certainly don't allow the people who are my elected officials to change everything that I do over 1 in a million chances. I'm going to open up the phone lines. As you can tell, I'm fired up this morning. And I'm fired up. Excellence myself. Putting the choke slam on stupidity. Is there a single person in my audience who disagrees? 877-996-6369. 877-996-6369. What about you guys in LA? I don't know that I've ever come out of the gate this fired up. I'm going to have to pace myself. Otherwise, I'm going to burn 4 billion calories, and I might really die of a heart attack today at the mic. Danny G, when you hear that your city wants you to be locked up until August the 1st, your reaction is?
Well, first of all, Clay, thank you for making us feel better here in Los Angeles this morning. Well, look, I'll say it like this. My mom, my conversation with her yesterday said it all. I rarely get phone calls from her, text messages once in a while. She called yesterday after this LA Times story came out. And I don't think she has marched against anything since she was a young student at San Jose State.
Yeah.
But yesterday she told me we should all be finding lawyers. That's what she said. My mom said she's looking for a lawyer.
Danny G called up and said when she saw that she was going to have to stay at her house until August 1, everybody should be looking for lawyers.
Her exact quote, we should all be looking for lawyers right now. She said that she'll wear her mask, but she is not going to stay at home all summer. I could not agree more with her. And I think that the airports and roads out of town this summer are going to be super busy here. And we'll see a lot more of these beach marches and everything else in all these towns in California because I'm sorry, but reading your comments and other people's comments on the Twitter retweets and stories, the vibe from the rest of the country is that all of the citizens here, we all deserve this because of the way we voted. It's not true. I didn't vote that way. I know some other people didn't vote that way. We don't all deserve this, quote unquote, and not all of us agree with this either.
Yeah. What about you, Eddie?
Well, I mean, my life hasn't changed all that much, to be totally honest with you, because I still have a job. And I mean, I would certainly love to go to sporting events, but that's certainly not going to be possible, I guess, for a while.
Ever.
But
I don't know that the state of California is ever going to be able to have a sporting event again based on the standard of if 1 in a million people might die, then you can't do it.
It's ironic that the person I'm most worried about is the person that, I mean, I guess allegedly they're trying to protect the most. That's my mother-in-law, who is completely by herself. I mean, we'll go over every once in a while and like stand in her garage and talk to her. We're calling her all the time, but she's not seeing her grandkid right now, and she would watch him like every day after school. And I think this is really, really going to be hard on her.
Well, it's a good point. And I don't want to cut you off there, but I just want to say this. When you get old, and I don't want to put my mom on blast here, but she's 75, and my dad is 75. And I think a lot of people are starting to think what they think, which is, wait a minute, you're telling me in order to save me from this virus, of which I still, if I'm relatively healthy, have a low chance of dying from, that basically I have to give up my life. I can't see my grandkids. I can't go out and do normal things that take place during the course of the day. I don't know how many months or years I have left. And by the way, the odds of me dying from things other than the coronavirus are still far more likely, right? You're far more likely to die of heart disease than you are to die of the coronavirus if you are an older person. At what point do you stop trying to protect your life such that what you are living is not worth having? Right? I mean, I'm not 75, so I can't speak to the idea, and I'm not 80. But I do believe if I were 75 or 80 and I was fortunate enough to have grandkids, that they would be a huge portion of my life at that point, right? Right now, as I project and I think, okay, what my life look like in 35 years, I hope that my boys are grown up and I hope that they have grandkids and I hope I get to spend a ton of time with them, right? I hope they have kids and I have grandkids. At what point do you say, wait, why am I like at some point I'm going to die, right? We're not talking about otherwise immortal people. At what point does the quality of life decline to such an extent trying to protect the life that you have that it's not worth living? And I think there are a lot of elderly people out there who have to be starting to ask that question about this. Because I can't think of any precedent where we've ever treated people like this. Okay, Eddie. Sorry, I just had to say.
No, that's fine.
I do think that's a question that a lot of elderly people are starting to ask. Like, I could die
totally agree with you.
of something else during this 6 months where suddenly I'm not allowed to see my grandkids face to face and give them hugs and give them kisses and give them candy and give them toys like I ordinarily would be doing, spoiling my grandkids. Like, what am I protecting myself from? My real life? That doesn't make sense.
And I think, and my wife, I've told you before, has lung issues, so she's at higher risk. And my mother-in-law and my wife are both, there are some people out there that they're rules followers. When people tell them they need to do this, they're going to do it most of the time. It's just kind of in their nature. But I think both of them now are finally reassessing and figuring out is just exactly what you said. Is my quality of life deteriorating now so much that I am now willing to risk this supposedly because I don't know how much more of this I can take. And I think both of them are really starting to debate this now in their mind. And I think both of them will start to, if you want to call it taking more chances or whatever it is, they're not going to be able to go 3 more months with a complete and utter lockdown of their lives.
What about you, Roberto?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Eddie. My life hasn't changed that drastically. I would love to go to Dodger Stadium, but it looks like that's not going to happen anytime
All right,
soon.
let me take a step back for everybody who's saying my life hasn't changed very drastically. If your job didn't exist, let's pretend that they come into Fox Sports Radio tomorrow and they say, due to the coronavirus crisis, which God forbid, knock on wood, furiously hope it doesn't happen. But let's pretend they come in and they say, we're going to have to stop running Fox Sports Radio programming. We're just going to run best of until the state of California opens back up, right? Because I think it's easy. Like, I'm trying to think in the position, not just of 41-year-old Clay Travis, who lives in Nashville and is down in Florida right now, and really my life is not that much different. But remember, 1 in every 5 people has lost their job right now. So pretend that based on everything else is the exact same, but you happen to have a job that you have lost, which a huge percentage of our listenership is in that category right now. And they're sitting at home and they're idly flicking through Netflix, and then they get on their phone and they're like, just stay home. Just stop saying that you need to leave your house. It's easy to stay at home. You can be at home and just watch Netflix all day, and your paychecks are still arriving in your bank account, and you just get to work from home.
Clay, really quick to your point, my girlfriend still has not been able to get a hold of the EDD. They have not processed her paperwork yet. She's been out of work for 2 months now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
there's a
sucks.
lot of people like that.
Not a penny has come in yet.
Yeah.
She's freaking out. I've had to loan her money for her utilities and her phone bill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right. And my brothers and sisters, same thing. And that's why my mom was so freaked out yesterday, because thank God it hasn't affected me 100%. It's affected me a little bit. As you pointed out yesterday, all of us in radio have had to take some sort of small loss. But overall here in the state, millions of people are penniless right now and scared to death.
And being told they can't work.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if every blue checkmark Twitter person out there who's like, oh, all these stupid protesters, why don't you just stay at home? Because they don't have jobs. Because they don't have jobs. Because they don't have jobs. Because they don't